Hello, and welcome to Get In, We're Going Healing. I am your host, Tova. Today, we are going to talk about 5 tools for shadow work, 5 tools you are going to need when you start in on your shadow work journey. Now, these are important tools that you're going to need because if you start your shadow work journey without knowing these things, you're not going to get quite as much progress as you would otherwise. So this is a little mini series that I am putting out about shadow work to help other people do shadow work. So there's going to be a few episodes regarding shadow work, and I'm going to try to put them out as much as I can within succession, close to each other. So not like some of the longer episodes I've done, the longer space in between them. These are all going to be around the same time, just so that we can all work together on our shadow work journey. So today we're talking about 5 tools that you are going to need for your shadow work journey. Okay, are we ready? Let's go. So the first tool you're going to need is the ability to notice your thoughts and step back from your thoughts. Now, this is essentially mindfulness. This is what we're doing. So this is the essence of mindfulness. As you learn to observe your thoughts and you learn to step out of them, you learn how to know the feeling of being in or out of your thoughts. Okay, so this is very helpful because you begin to see where your parts might be jumping in and when they might be running the show instead of your higher self, instead of your conscious self. So one of my favorite resources to learn how to do this is Headspace. I've talked about it before. I've shared it before. I am not affiliated with Headspace in any way whatsoever. I like Headspace. I think it's a wonderful app. It teaches the essence of how to step out of your thoughts, particularly when you get the subscription and you start using the anxiety pack. I found the anxiety pack very helpful. The idea behind it is to recognize when you are lost in thought and how to step back. So when you notice one of your parts may be running the show and maybe at the wheel, how to step back and recognize that you are not the part. You are not your ego, call it inner child, call it wounded part. The terminology doesn't really matter that much. It's not the real you. It's the wound that's speaking. So when you learn to recognize that that's what's speaking, you can learn to step back from it. So first tool is mindfulness meditation, learning how to step out of your thought stream so that you are not stuck in the thought stream. You can recognize that that's not you, that it's something else thinking. You are not the thinker of the thoughts. You are the one who notices a thought is happening. So mindfulness meditation. Okay, Headspace is my favorite, but you can Google it. You can look it up on YouTube. There are lots of resources available to help you work on mindfulness. Okay, that's tool 1. Tool number 2, the ability to recognize that you and your parts are one and the same. All right, so this one's a tricky one. After I just got done saying that that your wounded parts, your ego, whatever, your inner child is not you, but at the same time, they are you. Your wounded parts are the parts of you that when something happened to you that caused you to be upset in some way, they are the parts of you that were hurt. And if you didn't acknowledge them or validate them, or someone else around you didn't acknowledge and validate, if this was a childhood situation, then you probably squished those feelings down and you didn't deal with them. Well, that created a wound. That created a part of you that was hurt. This counts for bullying. This counts of many, many, many things. Anything that didn't make you feel your best self created a wound. And as you recognize that, you are those parts of you, but you are also the greater than that. It's kind of like you're the sheep herder for all the sheep, I suppose, or the ECE for all the kindergartners. All of these parts are you, but you are also those parts and more than that. As you begin to recognize that, that will help you greatly on your parts work journey, on your shadow work journey, because you recognize that your shadow is a part of you. It's not there to ruin your life. It's not there to run your life. It's there to advise and guide as you listen to it. Okay, so that affects every strong emotion that you have. So it leaves a mark on you. And according to Michael Singer, the author of The Untethered Soul, it could leave a thorn in your heart. When something happens to you that's difficult, it leaves a thorn in your heart. And you start building layers around it to protect that thorn from being touched, because every time it gets touched, it gets triggered, you react to it. So the idea is to recognize that that is a part of you that needs to be addressed and healed. So because it influences your choices, because it can run the show and influence your choices. So as you hear out the wounded parts and let them say what they need to say, let them feel what they need to feel, their influence lessens so you can make healthier, more balanced choices. So number 2, you are your parts and your parts are you, but you are greater than your parts. They are all part of you, but you are the encompassing thing that includes all the parts. Okay. Tool number 3, feeling your feelings. Now, I've already done an episode about feeling your feelings. We've already talked at length about that. If you are not familiar, if you have not seen that episode or heard that episode, links will be down below. You can check in the episode lists as well to see what's up, and maybe check that episode out. If that's not something that you're familiar with and how to feel your feelings, check it out. We go into depth. But I'll go a little skim the surface for those who maybe not have seen that or might want to know more about it. So allowing your feelings to be felt. That's the essence of feeling your feelings, allowing your feelings to be felt, allowing it to come up in the body and releasing it. This might mean having a healthy outlet for the feelings, particularly if the feeling is rage. You're going to need a healthy outlet to let that feeling go. But allowing it to come and pass without feeding the story or fanning the flames of the feeling. So you're just going to allow the feeling to be felt in the body, then let it go. This is best accomplished with slow, deep breathing. But it can also be processed through physical activity and motion. So the energy needs an outlet. It needs somewhere to go. When you're feeling a big feeling, the energy needs to have somewhere to go. So we can endure it and discharge the energy, the emotion, and we can circle around it, and the emotion can circle around, causing damage. So we want to allow the feeling to pass as you disengage with the story. So the more you tell yourself the story of what happened, the situation that got you upset, the more likely you are to stay upset. So we disengage with the story. We don't keep telling ourselves the story of why we're angry. We're dealing with the feeling of anger or sadness or whatever big feeling that you're feeling, okay? So for example, in the movie Inside Out, Pixar movie Inside Out, which I've quoted before and I love very much. If you haven't seen it, you really should check it out. Fantastic movie, teaches a lot of great tools about your feelings and how to address your feelings. So there's a pivotal moment where sadness is sitting with Bing Bong, who is Riley's imaginary friend. And Bing Bong is very sad. And Joy is trying to get everybody moving so they can get back and to fix the problems. And she's brushing off Bing Bong's feelings. He's feeling sad and she's saying, it's okay, it'll be fine, you'll be okay. But that's not allowing him to feel his feeling. That's trying to push away the feeling so you can move forward. And we often do this with ourselves and with our children, quite often with our children, because we don't want to deal with their emotional stuff. But the answer to that is actually more of what sadness did. When Bing Bong was sad that Riley was forgetting him, sadness just sat with Bing Bong. She didn't try to fix it. She didn't try to change it. She didn't try to make him feel like, oh, there's better out there, or you've been through this before, or it'll all get over soon. None of those things. She just let Bing Bong feel sad. She let the feeling come to him and sit with him and just let him feel sad until he didn't feel sad anymore. When we allow the feeling to sit with us without feeding the story, without trying to squash it, without trying to diminish it, without trying to do any of those things, and we just allow the feeling to be and then allow it to go without engaging with it, that is the essence of feeling your feelings. You feel the feeling, but you don't engage the feeling, so the feeling is free to go. So there's a saying that says you have to feel it to heal it. So you feel your feelings, not think your feelings. You can't think your way through your feelings. You can't think your way out of your feelings. It doesn't work. You have to just feel it in your body, feel it in your soul, feel it in yourself. Allow the sensations, the physical sensations of the feeling without trying to squash it. So as you bring your parts in, as you address your shadow self and you hear what your part has to say, you just allow that part to feel whatever it's feeling without trying to change it. Which ties into our next tool, number 4. This is validating feelings. This is a tool that is very necessary, particularly if you grew up in a home or around people who do not validate your feelings, who do not let you know that it is okay to feel that feeling, that that feeling is all right, that there's nothing wrong with that feeling. So this may be a tool that you need practice with. If you were not raised with a family who validated your feelings, this is a tool you're going to have to look up and start to integrate into yourself and understand what it is in order to learn to do it. So there are wonderful resources out there. There are amazing YouTube videos. There are amazing talks, TED Talks. There are all kinds of resources on how to validate a child's feelings. Now, I know it may not resonate with you because you may not be dealing with a child, but when you're dealing with your wounded parts, some of them are child parts of you. So learning how to help a child validate feelings is a useful tool to help to validate your own feelings. Okay. So more often than not with people, we invalidate their feelings. We do this often with children and we do it often with ourselves. We minimize how they're feeling because of behavior that they're exhibiting that we don't care for. So we minimize how they're feeling and we focus only on the behavior. So, and to be fair, it's mostly because we don't want to deal with their actions. We don't want to deal with their big emotions. I'm a mom. I know I don't always want to be the one responsible for dealing with my child's feelings. But here's the key. As you learn to validate their feelings and give them the tools to learn to process their feelings, you don't have to manage their feelings. It's not your job to manage their feelings, but it is important to validate how they're feeling. So that kind of goes back to what I was saying with the last point with sadness and joy and Bing Bong. Joy wanted to invalidate Bing Bong's feelings because she just wanted to rush through it and get it done. Sadness validated Bing Bong's feelings and said it was okay for him to feel sad. So how do we validate feelings? If we're validating our feelings or someone else's, how do we validate them? Wow. First, you need to remember that children have the same feelings that you do. All of them. They experience all the same range of emotions that you feel. And just as you did when you were a child, you had all the same feelings. You've experienced sadness and anger and frustration and joy and laughter and excitement and all of those things, just like children do. Okay. So they also feel frustration, and loneliness is a big one. We often forget that children can be lonely because we're so trapped in what we're doing and focus on our stuff. We can forget that children feel lonely. And we may even forget that as children, we also felt lonely because our parents didn't validate our feelings and didn't give us the attention that we needed. Most people in my generation group and higher, and some in the lower millennial group, I'm a geriatric millennial. As we move forward through that, we recognize that our families often invalidated our feelings, and we were often lonely because most of us had issues with emotional neglect due to our parents not knowing what the heck to do with our emotions and could not validate our emotions. So here we are as adults not having those skills, hence why we're doing shadow work. So when we address that and we recognize that there's validation in feelings, we allow someone to feel what they're feeling without trying to change it. So, for example, I'm going to give you an example. Saying to a child, yeah, I know you'd rather be playing. I know you'd rather play than take a bath. I understand. Now, we're not going to jump into, but you need to take a bath, because we will get to that. But it's more about saying, yeah, I get it. I'm sure you would much rather be playing than taking a bath. Now, we've validated their feeling. I understand you're frustrated. I understand you'd rather play. validated it. Now we can offer a solution in the terms of, what about if we found some toys we can put in the bathtub and you can play in the bathtub? Haha, now we found a way to blend both areas. So we validated more, but this isn't about looking for a solution. This is just about validating. So when we validate our parts, we allow them to feel what they are feeling without judging them for the feeling. We hear them out, we give them permission, and we let them feel whatever it is that's coming up to feel without needing qualifiers as to why they shouldn't feel it or how they should feel instead. We allow them to just feel it and allow them to know that we are there for them and that it matters to us how they feel. Okay, so we validate, we say, I understand you feel that way. And we're not trying to say, but you shouldn't, but you this, but that, but that. There's no but. It's strictly, I understand that you're feeling that way. Don't solve it. Don't solve it. I know it's hard. You want to solve it. Don't solve it. Just hear it and validate it. Which leads me to tool number 5. Soothing your parts. This is a helpful tool to help you once your part has come up, once your shadow has come up and shared with you why it is upset. What do we do now? We need to, after we validate, we need to soothe that part. How do we soothe that part? Well, this is an area with lots of moving parts, okay? This is where you pull out your toolkit of things to soothe or endure difficult things. So after we validate our parts and the hurt that they're feeling, we need to let them work through it, okay? This is why we needed to learn to feel our feelings, because we will be both the part that's feeling things and the person who's providing soothing comfort that they did not get before. So you're going to be the secure adult or the friend that part needs. To soothe a part, you only need to do what sadness did in our earlier example. You just need to be comforting. You need to be a comforting body for your wounded part to feel safe and to let go and fully feel the feeling. This may be in the form of sitting with your wounded part, holding its hand, or even hugging or holding it. You don't need to solve the problem. You don't need to solve the problem or give solutions of any kind. That's not what this is about. This is about hearing your wounded part out, not about helping it find a solution. So you're just supporting your wounded part. Let your part know that you're there for it. Let your part know that you love it. Let your part know that you care. You can then let your part know that you will take care of them and keep them safe. You will listen to them and cherish them. This is essentially how we begin to love ourselves, one broken, painful piece at a time. So there's your 5 tools for shadow work to help you along your path of shadow work. Okay. If you have any questions about any of these things or you want to go more in depth, I have individual episodes that I've already done that go very in depth with each of these items on the list on what you can do with them. All I'm doing at this time is giving you your toolkit. I'm helping to flesh out your toolkit. Now, if this was helpful for you, I'm glad that these tools were beneficial for you as you learn to process and work through your shadow self and your wounded parts. So tune in. As I mentioned before, this is a mini series. So on our next episode, we are going to talk about what to do for self-care after parts work. So once you've done your parts work and you've talked to your part and you've let it share what it needed to share and you've felt what it needed to feel, this is what you should do for helping to soothe and heal yourself after you've addressed your part and after you've done your parts work and finished your work in that session. So make sure you stay tuned and you tune in for that episode. If you enjoy my content, Be sure to like and follow. You can find me on YouTube. You can find me on Instagram at Get In We're Going Healing. You can find me on Facebook at Get In We're Going Healing. I often share lots of content and inspirational content to help you process through your journey. And I would be grateful and happy to help you along your journey with anything that I can. So please tune in. If you found this helpful and you want to support the channel, you can do so at Patreon. And the link for that will be downloaded below, will be linked below, as well as in the show notes, as well as you can donate to PayPal. I accept tips and donations, love donations always. There's no set any amount. I just appreciate any donation you can to help keep the channel running so I can keep sharing content with you. Be sure to like, subscribe, follow, share, all that good stuff. If you found this helpful, share with others so that they can also heal too. That's all about healing on this show. So yeah, I hope that this was helpful, and tune in for our next episode. See you then. Bye.